and welcome. My name's Sam and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today, and this is our final card in the stamp set of the week of framed scenes. And so there we are doing a funky fold. Yes, I apologise to those that you are aware. I have got a brace on my hand. I took a tumble yesterday and managed to tear some ligaments in my wrist. So I've got a little bit of support today on my arm. So fingers crossed we'll be able to do this. I've done most of the prep already, so we should be okay. So enough of that, let's focus on our funky fold. So it just looks like a normal square with a belly band. So you slide the belly band off and the card opens like so, and it stands like that. So it would stand opened that way. And then you can obviously have your belly band here with its focal point on. So let's put this aside and bring in our supplies. So I'm going to change this up slightly. So the first thing I've got is a piece of, this is Poppy Parade. It measures 4 inches by 12 inches. Okay, and I have scored it at the 4-inch mark and at the 8-inch mark. I have then taken my scorer and gone from the bottom left hand corner, and I've scored it diagonally from the bottom left all the way up to the 4-inch mark so that it will fold that way. Okay, I've done exactly the same in the same direction, but I've started at the 8-inch and I've gone all the way up to the 12-inch. And I've done that diagonally as well. So there are actually 4 score marks. There's 1 at 4, 1 at 8, and then I've got 0 to 4 diagonally and 8 to 12. I will put all the measurements and directions on my blog should you wish to try this card out. So the next thing I've got is a belly band. This is 1 inch by 11 and a half. Yes, 11 and a half. I have a piece of Designer Series paper that measures 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 because it's a square. This Designer Series paper comes with the storybook stamp set, so it's not carrying over this Designer Series paper. So if you did want it, you need to visit the Last Chance section of my shop. I am using both of the, well, 3 of them, should I say, of the frames. So I've got the rectangle frame. I've run that through the Poppy Parade. Now, if you don't want to run it twice through 2 different colours, so for example, this one is the red, and then I need the middle bit, which is I'm using basic beige. If you don't want to run it through and have a frame as well, what you need to do is you need to cut yourself a square that measures 2 inches by 2 3/4, and you can see that fits perfectly within the rectangle. I have also run the large of the 2 oblong. No, they're not oblong. What are they? They are oval. Good gracious me. Oval frames. So the largest one I've run through in the Poppy Parade, and then the next one down I have run through with the basic beige again. So instead of having this on the outside, I have I'm going to put it on the inside, and I'm bringing the frame on the outside. So let's get started. So let's do the stamping first. So pop these aside. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp the sentiment onto there and the focal point onto there. So I have got the House in the Woods again. I'm stamping that up in the Memento Black. I'm hoping this is going to print out okay, because I just don't have the strength in my hand that I would normally have. And I'm just going straight down, little bit of pressure, and then straight back up again. So as you can see, we have done the printing on that. I'm going to use the Memento ink again, and I'm going to use the word Birthday Wishes, or the words Birthday Wishes. This comes from the stamp set Simply Said. ink that up. And then I'm going to pop that onto here. Let's do that a little bit better. Come on, there we go. So straight down, a bit of pressure. I hope that's still on camera. And then pull it off. Okay. I'm going to mount that with my multi-purpose onto the Poppy Parade. Let's take that bit of glue off. I don't really need that. Just going to run my glue down there. And that will go onto my oval. Like so. Wonderful. Okay, put that over there. Okay, so now we can bring in our base card. And what we're going to do is going to bring in our bone folder, and we are going to burnish. So I'm going to fold it over on the 4-inch mark and burnish with my bone folder. Then going to do exactly the same on the 8-inch mark and burnish with the bone folder. Okay, I am going to fold that over so the diagonal is there, and then I'm going to score that. All right, and then I'm going to do that again, and then I'm going to bring that back on itself and score on here. Okay, so they are in the same way. Now you'll notice that I have changed the direction of this round. It's just because I have folded it that way. Now if I did it this way, let me show you. So this is why I haven't, if you did it that way and then bring that one back, okay, and then you did that one that way and brought that one over, then it is in the same direction as I've done on the previous one. Let me show you. So as you can see, that one comes up and that one. So there we go. So I've literally just folded it over on a different direction, but we'll stick with this one. Okay, and then we will just burnish with our bone folder. So that is why I have left cutting the designer series paper into quarters or into half until I finish folding, because obviously if you had folded it the other way and you'd cut it that way, you would have needed to cut it that way. So what we're going to do is we're now going to cut this piece diagonally. We're actually going to go from bottom right to top left so that they fit onto there. So I'm going to bring in my cutter and I'm going to go bottom right, top left. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that each end fits along this groove. Now what I like to do is once I know that I've got it in the right place, on a diagonal I start cutting from the middle. So I just push down, bring it down, and then I go all the way back up again. And I find that I just get a smoother cut that way. There we go. So these can now be mounted onto our piece of cardstock, which goes onto here. So let's do that with glue. And just run my glue down, turn it over, and that's going to go onto here. I seem to have splodged a little bit off there. So as in previous videos, I've got a glue remover. It's this little rubber here. You can get them on Amazon. We used to sell them at Stampin' Up, but unfortunately we don't anymore. So I got mine recently from Amazon and they last such a long time. Okay, so I'm going to do the same on this one. So just a bit of glue. Not too much. turn that over, and then that can go down to, go and wiggle down. There we go. Come on, wiggle, wiggle. There we are, and that go to there. So now we've got our square sorted. So I don't know if I said this, but I have got a piece of basic beige which measures 3 3/4, and that is going to go into the middle there. So let's stick that down immediately so I don't misplace it again. As I said, all measurements will be on my blog. If you're watching on Facebook, it will be in my link of my bio. If you're watching on YouTube, you will find it in the description bar, the link to go to the blog. Okay, so that's that done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our strip. Now what I want to do, this is how I do it. I make sure that this end is measured up to the edge of the paper, of the board, so it measures up at the 0 mark. I'm then going to lay my card on the mark down here, which is the 4 inch, and then the mark down here on the 8 inch. And then what I do is I bring this end up and fold it over, and what you'll see is it doesn't go all the way across. Okay, however, when you bring up this side, because you've laid it at the 0, it will go the whole way across, like so. All right, once I've done that, I'm then bringing my bone folder again, making sure I've got it straight. You'll see that this is gone. With my bone folder, I will just press that down like so, and then I'll do the same on that side. Bring it down, make sure it lines up, and I will burnish. Ouch, there we go. Okay, so that will come over to here, and what you can do now is you can put your card in. You will bring down your right hand side, the smaller of the two, and then you can just run yourself some glue down it, and then you'll bring this side over so that it sticks on the top. Give it a little bit of a push, a bit of help, make sure it's stuck, and then when you're happy that it's stuck, just bring it up and down on your card a couple of times, and that helps it stick in place and make sure that the belly band moves. Okay, there we go. So now we've got a blank piece of belly band. I have, she said, put somewhere, there it is, a strip of designer series paper, so it matches this. I've cut it down to, so this is 1 inch, I've cut it down to 3/4 of an inch, and I've given it a length of 3 3/4, and that will fit just on there like so. Again, I'm going to attach it with my glue. Perfect. Lovely. That's happy. I'm happy that's in place. So the next thing I need to do is I need to add my frame. So this frame is virtually going to cover up the whole of the belly band, but that's fine. I've got the little bit of designer series paper poking through here. So once I've worked out what I want to do, I'm going to turn it over, roughly work out where it's going to go. So I'm going to have it there and there. I'm going to put the glue on this section here and this section here, and then I can turn it over and I can make sure that it's on the belly band. So that's there and there. Now just make sure it hasn't got glue. As you can see, there's no glue on either side, and then I'm just going to make sure that it is down in place. There we go. And then we can afford to pop the belly band back on again. To make the belly band fit, I just generally bend it slightly like that, okay, and then it just slips on, and we have everything in place. So the next thing to do is to colour on in our picture, and then it will fit onto there. So to colour in the picture, I have dark and light crumb cake for the house. I have got light grey granite for the stonework, and I have the trees I am doing in dark granny apple green and light old olive, and then the grass is going to be in the light granny apple green. So to save time and agony, I have already coloured that in. So bring that up so you can see I've already coloured that in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the glue on this piece of the belly band. There we go. And then that means that can now fit in the square rectangle and hold it in place. Right. So the only thing left to do now is to put the sentiment on. So once again, remove the belly band, pop that aside. You can open your card and you can place your sentiment inside. Turn that over. Oh, come on. Add my glue to the back. Ouch. And we will pop it down to there. Perfect. Lovely. Now we can close that up again and put our belly band on. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. I hope you like this funky fold. It's a good one. I really like creating these ones. I don't create them very often, but I do like creating them. I do enjoy the process. Come on, thank you very much. There we go. Right, so it is on. There we go. There. So that's the one we've just created. And if I bring this one back in, and this goes into there. So which do you prefer? The one with the full frame and the small frame inside, or the small frame on the outside and the big frame inside? Pop your comments below. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. I will be back on Monday with a new project, so do join me then. It will be lovely to catch up. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care. Bye.